Hey everyone. So many of you have been writing to us and you want to know more about the journey of our students. When did they do electives? Did they do USMLE steps while they were still in their internship? How can I balance my internship and the exams? Can I work and prepare for USMLEs? And what other challenges did they overcome? So, as part of this series, we first have today Dr. Akshay Agarwal. He is our student and he just accepted a pre match in this season. He's not a recent graduate. In fact, he's a 4 year old year of graduation, but he did do his elective. So, he shares his experiences and a lot of useful tips for both if you are a student still in your medical school or even doing your internship, or if you're getting ready to apply either for the first time or as a repeat applicant. So let's listen to what he has to say and some of his thoughts around what you should be doing to prepare yourself for this USMLE journey. So, good morning, everyone. Today we have our student, Dr. Akshay Agarwal, who's actually joining us from a hotel in India because he's on COVID duty. He's taken time out to talk to all of us regarding his USMLE journey. He actually pre-matched, and we are very happy. So, congratulations, Akshay, and welcome to the channel.
Yeah. Hi, Pavan. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really looking forward to help other candidates. Thank you.
So, Akshay, thank you. And let's start with your medical school and your journey. So, tell us a bit about your medical school experience and what you think you should have done in the medical school, which you may have not done from a USMLE perspective. What are there things that you, in retrospect, would have done?
Yeah. Looking back, so I was an average student in my medical school. So my medical school ranks among top 10 in India, but still the skill set that is required to being a good student is totally different than to get into medical school. So I had my challenges. So I used to study for whole day in the library, and then at the end of the day, when I asked myself, okay, what do you remember? So I hardly remembered anything. So that was a challenge. But then, when I talked to my friends, when I reflected on myself, how can I improve? So that is when I realized that okay, there's this Pomodoro technique where you study for 50 minutes, take break for 10 minutes, so that you are refreshed, and then also revising putting frequent revisions. So that helped me. So that's how it started. And like when I look back in the medical school days, so I think to study smarter but not as harder as I was doing, so that would have helped me learn fast and learn smarter and remember mainly. So looking back, I think I would have improved on that aspect.
So, tell us about the technique that you just mentioned, for some of the students who may not know.
Yeah. So what happens is usually we tend to go really hard on our studies. So I used to sit for like 4 hours or 5 hours at a stretch, and then just take break for some time, and then again sit for next 3 to 4 hours. So after doing that, that really decreases your efficiency because you are not that active. You just sit there and you just stare at the book. So the thing is, the idea is to be active, to be an active learner. So what you can do is you study for 20 minutes, take 5 minutes break, or what you can do is you study for 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. So just go around, have a coffee or just drink water maybe, and then come back. So this way you can do like maybe 7 to 8 sessions in a day, if you are not working or not doing anything else. So maybe you can put 9 to 10 sessions, and then so this really keeps you active, because you don't feel fatigued at the end of the day, and also your retention improves.
Okay. So now let's talk about, when did you first think about USMLE and when did you like kind of start preparing or seriously thinking about expenses and the USMLE and the options you had, India PG and USMLE? When did all that start?
Yeah. So actually, I entered medical school in 2010 and I graduated in 2016. So around 2013, 2014, I started seriously thinking about USMLE. So because some of my good seniors, they were doing USMLE, so I was motivated by them. So I also really thought of a long-term basis because this really adds value to your career, and also it was fascinating, obviously. So I started in 2013-14. So I started preparing for step one, but then I didn't know how to study. So then, so again, same thing, just sitting for the whole day in front of book and then not able to not able to recollect it. So that's how it started. So then I did electives in 2016, took CS exam when I was in US,
Okay.
and then came back to India, started working, and then also I was studying for step 1 CK. So I finished step 1 in 2018, CK in 2019 September, and then finally matched this year.
So in your journey, in your internship, you didn't take step one, but you did a good thing of doing electives, right?
Yeah.
You did electives. How many months of electives did you do?
I have 2 months of electives and I have 1 month of observation.
Okay. And did you find those electives to be very useful as you were preparing for USMLE and the interviews and just getting used to the US system and also the CS, I think?
Yeah. So the elective experience was really significant. Coming from India and getting into the US system, getting to know how the system works. So that really helped me understand, okay, what it is exactly. Because in India, you can just imagine, okay, things are like this, like that. But when you actually go there, when you actually are in the clinic, when you learn from your attending, when you're around medical students, when you talk to the patients, that is when you realize, okay, this is the exact difference and this is what I'm getting. So that really added value and made a clear picture of what I will get if I get selected. So that helped. The second thing was it helped me prepare for my CS exam because you interact with the patients daily, so you get a hands-on experience in electives, right? So you go there, you talk to them, you take physical examination, you present the case to the attending. So that also helped me prepare for the CS exam. So overall, it was really, really good experience.
Okay. So electives went great. You came back, you graduated, and then you started the step one prep again. Is it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And assuming you knew the healthcare system, you started. Now, was there a challenge in step one preparation because most of the curriculum is the first 2 years of MBBS, and how did you overcome that kind of a challenge of preparing for step one after graduating?
Yeah. So basically, my idea was clear that I want to train in the US. So even after graduation, even while working as a junior doctor here, so it was clear that okay, this is what I want. So the idea was to then improve on the weaknesses, which was basically how to study and how to get a good score in the exam. Taking exam which is 8 to 9 hours long, building that stamina. So I was grateful to have good study partners.
Okay.
So I studied with them, learned actually how what are the techniques, what is the technique to read the question stem, then how to answer it, how to be efficient, how to be smarter, so things like that. So it was not a big struggle to study biochemistry or things like that, but just to adopt that technique and getting used to it. So, and fortunately I did it.
Good. So you kept working and you studied for both the exams simultaneously, correct?
Yeah, so like just 1 month or 2 months before exam, I used to study like dedicatedly, like whole days. But apart from those few months, I used to work.
Okay. So now you had electives, you did your steps while working, and then did you get more US experience, because I know you applied last year and you didn't match. So talk to us between the period of your graduation and step prep. So then you applied in 2019, right? So did you get more US experience, or you applied on the basis of just the electives?
So actually, I graduated in 2016.
Right.
Right. After that, I have 1 year of clinical experience in Mumbai, which was
Mm-hmm.
mainly patient setting,
Okay.
and then 2 years of clinical experience in my hometown, which was like a rural and underserved area,
Mm-hmm.
right, which was more of a primary care setting. So I did 2 months of electives just after graduation, and then I did 1 month of observership in October 2019.
I see.
So,
Okay.
yeah, apart from this, I don't have any more clinical experience.
Okay.
So, even the work experience that I did in India counted during my interviews. So this was the most common question that I got. Okay, so you graduated in 2016. What did you do after that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a way to put it. So how the idea is to convince them that okay, this has added value, this has added a significant experience, and this is how I'm going to contribute. You know, so this is a way where you can say that okay, this is how I stand out from other applicants.
Okay, so I want to dig a bit deeper on the utility of the home country experience, and even now you are in on COVID duty. So what exactly do you communicate? Is it the varied patient pathology? Is it the volume of patients, and is it just the rigorous primary care experience? How do you showcase your extensive clinical experience? Because this is one of the challenges that many students have, and they think the home country experience is useless, right? So how did you turn it to your favor?
Yeah. So actually, you start from okay, this is the name of the hospital. This they have this many beds. Okay, so we have this much patient turnaround. So we have attending. We work under supervision. So it is kind of a learning environment. So it's not just like doing random, just go there and do nothing. So you have to put it in a good way, and so you can say that okay, I learned this and this. These were the most common diseases that I saw. These are the diseases in which I'm very thorough. I can
Mm-hmm.
take and I can handle patients on my own. So what kind of experience was it? Is it primary care? Is it inpatient setting? Is it ICU? So things like that. And then what in which specialty it was. So if you're applying for, I applied for internal medicine, and my whole experience was internal medicine. So you can also say that okay, this is why I'm committed, and this is the evidence of this, and this is why I like it. So in medical school, you can only say, okay, I'm interested. But then when you actually work there, you can say, I'm not just saying that I'm interested, but I have actually worked in the same field. Okay, so that sounds convincing to them.
Okay.
So this is how you can put it.
So, okay. Now tell us, when did you actually decide to do internal medicine, or focus on internal medicine from a USMLE application kind of perspective? Was it ever since you worked, or did it come later on, or were there other options?
So in my medical school, I had really good professors in internal medicine. So that is where I developed interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the fact that it is intellectually stimulating.
Okay.
You get to understand the actual disease process. Okay, how does this thing work? Why we have decided to choose this drug, not that drug? And that is really dependent. That is really individualized to a particular patient. So that is how I developed interest. And then it was also realistic and achievable target, because if I want to go to the US, so majority of the students apply for internal medicine, and it is also doable. So that is how it strengthened. And then obviously the clinical experience that I have, because when you actually work in that specialty, you get to know okay, these are the good points, these are the bad points. So am I willing to accept the bad points as well? So
Yes.
yeah, so that is how you really understand. And then I liked it, and that's why I chose this.
Okay. So now let's talk about last year. So you applied last year, you didn't match. Obviously, there must have been some learnings, some things that you improved. So walk us through that experience. What happened last season, and where did you find, some weaknesses that you had to improve on?
Yeah. So the thing is that last year I was not really prepared for the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I also applied late. The season started on 15th September. I
Yeah.
applied around 8th October.
Ah.
So I applied late. I lost that window where students usually get, where 25% of the invitations are already sent.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied late. That was one point. Second thing is, like, I, uh, I did not practice enough for interviews. I
Okay.
had an idea in my head, okay, this is what I will answer, but then that does not really help you. You need to practice in front of mirror or with friends and do it repeatedly before your interview. So I lacked on that part. I got 5 interviews,
Okay.
which is like not a bad number. An average student gets 7 who
Mm-hmm.
matched in interview. So 5 is a decent number, but
Yes.
the way you express yourself, the way you answer, the things that you don't say, things like that. So I was not prepared on that. So this is where Sarthi pitched in. So now I understood, okay, this is what you're supposed to say and this is how you do it, and now it worked.
Yes. So, continuing on the interview prep, so you watched the classes, and you were also in the silver plan, so you attended, I think, some of those classes. Uh, did you find other, like the Telegram group, helpful? And now you are very active on our group, so thank you for that. But did you
Yeah,
find that helpful at all?
yeah, absolutely. So I watched every single video of Sarthi. So every aspect of ERAS is really important. Starting from your name, your address, your work experience, research experience, volunteer experience.
Mm-hmm.
So last year I just filled in the information, but this year I actually learned from your videos and the mentors, like how are you supposed to write it. Things like quantifying or doing mentioning in bullet formats. So things like that, having a really grammatically correct way to put it. So small things, like every small thing matters,
Yes.
because this is like really competitive and they are just looking to kick out applicants. So ERAS application was the first part, then working on the personal statement, then also the Telegram group where we have really good mentors. So you just put in the question and someone from the panelist is always there to answer it. So closed Telegram group is also really helpful. And then obviously Pavan is there, so you are really very approachable and really committed that a student improves. So overall, Sarthi added that difference in my journey, and I'm really grateful to you.
Well, hard work was all yours, so you have all the credits. But thank you for your kind words. Now, tell me how, in addition to the interview prep, did you do more rotations this year? What all did you change? Because you were working full time, and it's not easy to juggle things. So, what other things changed in this year? Did you do any more rotation? Anything else?
So when I did not match
Mm-hmm.
last year, I took some time to reflect. Okay, where am I lacking?
Mm-hmm.
That is a good point to start to understand. You can pull up the charting outcomes of an RMP and see where you stand as compared
Right.
to the other crowd. So that is when I realized, okay, so my scores are decent. My year of graduation is old, but then I have clinical experience, so that is done. Then I did not have research experience, so I got research experience this year, which was significant. It was related to COVID only.
Oh, okay.
Then I also started working with Doctors Without Borders at Asia's largest COVID care facility in Mumbai. So that also added value, because they need doctors who are well trained in COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so that is where I improved. So interview experience, research experience, and the COVID experience with MSF.
Okay. Okay. Good. So now let's talk about two things. First, I want you to, if someone is still in their internship or medical school and they're either thinking about the journey, what would you advise them in terms of either steps or electives? Or let's first start with those students who are still in the medical school. How would you advise them that they approach their USMLE journey?
Yeah. So for students who are still medical students, I think you have an advantage over older graduates that you have recently studied your basic subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fresh in your head. So you have to utilize this thing. Uh, you have to like really put 100% effort and just get it done. Because that is the best time to give your exams. So learn from your mistakes, talk to your seniors, surround yourself with people on the same journey. So things like that. And then take your mock test, improve on your weaknesses, and then just take your exams. So for this was for the exams. For the clinical experience, I think now they have started again, uh,
Right.
because of the COVID, it was put on hold. But I see people going to US for rotations. So apply smartly, apply at hospitals, preferably where they have residencies, where they have people from your medical school or at least from your country. So that just improves your chances. But if not, then apply broadly, widely. Make sure if you can get clinical experience, electives or hands-on, so that would be better as compared to observerships. So because ultimately the LR counts, the clinical experience counts. So like now it's doable. So just do it.
Okay. And what would you recommend to older graduates or people who don't match in the first attempt? There are a lot of people, and then what type of message, what type of advice would you give those people?
Yeah. So like I graduated in 2016. I did not match on the first attempt. So the thing is that you have to really reflect on, okay, these are the things that goes in my favor, these are the things that goes against me. And a smart person always comes up with idea to compensate for the things that goes against them. So that is the whole idea. So now, so when I did not match, I talked to Pawan, and I remember that he said, okay, so an ideal candidate is someone who has double 260s, who is a recent grad, who has publications, and who has more than 3 or 4 months of experience. But then whoever does not fulfill this criteria is an average applicant. So most of us, including me, we fall in average pool. So the thing is that how do we put it, and how do we compensate for our red flags? That is the whole idea. And ultimately, don't give up. Don't give up, man. So it's your dream, it's your responsibility. People will come and go, people will give up on you. But you have to own that, okay, this is my dream and I'm going to achieve it. So if you have that attitude, like just go there and do it. So that's the whole idea. Don't give up. So that I'll say it.
Well, thank you very much. Are there anything at all that we missed, and you think that is important? I must have missed something. If is there anything that you think we missed, you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think so. Guys, like just reflect and see. Okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and how can I improve? So we, our team of Sathi, is always there to help you. So if you have any concerns, if you have any questions, so feel free to approach, and then we'll be happy to help you all.
Thank you very much, Akshay. This is great, very motivating. Hopefully, it helps both the current students who are in medical school as well as people who are ready to apply maybe next season. So, thank you very much for your time. And I know you are in a critical COVID duty right now. So, thank you for taking time out.
Oh, absolutely, Pawan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.